This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving Southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard Indiana Sport Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Monday, November 11th, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hope you had a great weekend. You got a lot to cover, catch up on, man. There was a lot that went on. Oh, my gosh. I was watching the NFL yesterday, and I'm like thinking, are you kidding me? The Colts losing to the second worst team in the NFL, the Miami Dolphins? Are you serious with that? Then I watched the Rams lose to a beleaguered Pittsburgh Steelers team. And I'm like, what the hell is going on in the NFL? That sounds like a Duke Tomato song. Yeah, man. I'm telling you. But, yeah, wow, what a wild day in the NFL. Big news for Indiana football. Ranked for the first time in a generation. The Hoosiers on a bye week, coming in at number 25 in the coaches poll, number 24 in the AP poll. A little ironic there because as leading up to this, when they were just getting votes in the also-ran category, Indiana always trailed further behind in the AP poll. The media was not giving them national media not giving them a lot of love. Then all of a sudden they had a bye, didn't play, and the media loves them all of a sudden. So that's kind of funny. But the Hoosiers enjoying being ranked right now. To sustain that, they got a big old fat test coming up this weekend in Happy Valley as they head off to Penn State to take on the Nittany Lions, who got knocked off by the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Man, there's a big game in the Big Ten. The Minnesota 8-0 going into that game, along with Penn State. The big matchup, Penn State sitting at number 4 in the college football playoffs. Lowly Minnesota way down at 17, behind 6 teams with 2 losses, mind you. Well, that all changed Saturday. Minnesota showed that they are for real, knocking off Penn State. They moved up several spots in the polls. Of course, when the new college football playoff polls come out, that's going to be the interesting one because that's the only one that matters right now. But it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with Minnesota now. They were not getting the love they should have gotten, obviously. What are you going to say now? Who are you going to put in front of them now? Well, they haven't played anybody. Well, they just beat number 4. So you can't say that anymore. They're 9-0, and they have a top 4 win on their shelf. I put them at number 4. Move them out. Move them out. Alabama lost. Alabama had a top 4 game, and they lost. And they haven't played anybody else. They've got a weak schedule. Clemson has as weak a schedule as anybody in college football, but they're a pretty good team. Both those teams are good. They're really good. But I think Minnesota deserves the love. They're going to have a tough road to hoe, man. They still have to play Iowa, Wisconsin. You squeeze in Northwestern in there, I think. And then the Big Ten championship, likely against Ohio State. The only way that Minnesota is getting into the college football playoffs is if they go 13-0, in my opinion. Maybe I just only because of the love that these freaking people have for the SEC. Georgia is overranked. They're way too damn high. They shouldn't be up that high. They barely beat Notre Dame at home. And Notre Dame has shown they're an okay team, but that's it. And they have a loss on their resume already. People falling in love with the SEC. Get over it. Will Indiana make the college football playoff poll? It'd be interesting to see that. It would be interesting to see that. Text in already from Joker. Daggone it. Open up, phone. If IU goes to Happy Valley and wins, does that diminish Minnesota's win over PSG? Nah. It already happened. It was a big moment. It was hyped up. It was on national TV. So, I don't think you can take that away. Plus, the national people, they see Indiana as a good team as well. They're 7-2. They should be 8-1. It's so disheartening to see that loss to Michigan State, especially after another big win this week in Illinois. How about the Illini? Holy cow, they're bowl eligible. Not only have they beaten Wisconsin, they beat Michigan State in East Lansing, trailing 31-10 at the half. They mounted a fourth quarter comeback on the road. You talk about onions. The Illini got them. Lovey's got them going, man. Lovey's got the Illini rolling. They are bowl eligible. And they got a couple of big fat wins on their resume. How about that? That was a heck of a win. Golly, why couldn't Indiana beat Michigan State? They'd be in the top 15 right now. They'd be 8-1 and in the top 15 guaranteed. It's going to be an interesting game this weekend as they travel to Penn State. 100,000 people plus. That's a tough road to hoe, man. Tim wants to know, when was the last time IU had 5 or more sports teams rated in the top 25? Number 24 football, number 24 women's basketball, number 9 men's soccer, number 4 men's swimming and diving. The last time Indiana was ranked in the top 25, they played Wisconsin the following week and lost big. Hopefully that doesn't happen this year. Yeah, ironically, it's kind of a same sort of setup. You're playing a really good team on the road that's simply pissed off. They just got their butts beat in a big game. They may have just lost their only opportunity to make the college football playoffs. They're going to be kind of upset. They're going to be a little upset. It's a tough road to hoe, man. It's a tough chore. But I'll be honest with you, whether it's this game or the Michigan game, Indiana needs to win one of these games. They've had a really nice season, but for this season to be magical, they need to beat somebody. Illinois has done it twice. We saw Purdue do it last year. Indiana needs to beat somebody. I mean, I'm not being 7-2 and bowl eligible and a winning season guaranteed. Fantastic stuff that hasn't happened in many, many years. So you can't take any of that for granted, and you cannot diminish the magnitude of that achievement. But they need to beat somebody. Michigan, they had the chance with Michigan State, and that wouldn't have been we look back now, it wouldn't be that big of a deal because Michigan State's just not that good. That's a game Indiana let get away. Terribly sad to see that, let that thing get away. You got to beat somebody. You got to beat Penn State. You got to beat Michigan, one or the other. You got to beat somebody. I mean, to me, that's the next step. Men's soccer in action yesterday. The Big Ten tournament getting underway. A first round, the quarterfinals. Indiana played at Bill Armstrong Stadium against The Ohio State University, which they beat 2-0 handily on Joshua Penn and Spencer Glass goals. Met with Todd Yeagley afterwards. Let's hear what Coach had to say.
It's great to advance. It was a tough game today. I always say when we were pretty clinical in the first game against Ohio State, and we knew today would be tight, and the game became pretty physical from the start, which surprised me a little bit. just usually you kind of know where games usually go with what kind of opponents. But this game surprised me a little bit. But I thought our guys handled it fairly well. It took us a little bit to kind of get into that game. And then I thought we grew into the game. And then once we got the goal and the red card happened, it kind of had a funky tone to it because we didn't really need to send guys forward. They were kind of okay, just kind of sitting in there and absorbing a little bit. So that I thought the second goal, obviously, I would like to have gotten a little bit earlier. And then I thought the guys iced the game really well in the corner and did a really good job of managing the last few minutes. So good win. We're obviously excited to be moving on, most importantly.
Coach Todd Yeagley, head coach of Indiana men's soccer team, as they open up the Big Ten tournament with a 2-0 win over the Ohio State Buckeyes. They'll be playing again. When is that? When is their next game? We'll have that, but been all geared up about football. Don Fisher, normally with us on Mondays, sick today. He'll be back tomorrow. Don's going to rest his voice. But we'll talk to Don tomorrow. On the program today, Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier and Nick Baumgart will talk IU basketball and IU football. Talk to Nick a little bit about Dawson Garcia as he had his visit to Marquette over the weekend. Now it's time. I'm sure Archie's trying to get in front of him one more time before the 20th, before his decision is made. Well, I mean, we know that they're trying to do that because in his interview last week, he said that in meeting with Tom Ostrom, he said Archie wants to get in front of him one more time. When was the last time Indiana football was ranked and Indiana basketball was not? The women's team ranked. We went over this a minute ago. Ranked number 24 right now. Football ranked number 24 right now. Someone asked me the other day, I think it was in a text or on Twitter, do I see at any point this year Indiana basketball being ranked? Well, I'm always honest on here. So, no, I don't see them being ranked this year. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that could completely be off. So don't take it to heart. It's just that I don't see it coming. But who knows? This is a team that can go. They've got a lot of talent. They can get on a run. They can improve things. They can pick up and roll. I don't know. But I don't see it. I don't see that it's impossible. It's not. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't see it coming. I don't know that this team is strong enough in all phases of the game to get there. We'll see. We'll talk about that more with Nick Baumgart when Nick's on. We got a lot coming up, man. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier is going to join us next. We'll catch up on all things IU with the Daily Hoosier. Stay tuned. We're back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Well, happy with the win, obviously. Portland State, very difficult style of play, especially early in the season. You know, ton of different looks they give you. And for our guys, had some new guys in there. You know, it's going to be a work in progress at times to figure some things out. But two things coming into the game was taking care of the ball, rebounding. And against that team, if you turn it over and you give them second shots, you know, they're able to cause some problems. And, you know, we held serve, went 41-24 on the glass, and really only turned the ball over 10 times, and that's a big reason why we won the game. But, you know, in talking to our team after the game, 2-0 is the objective. And however you want to look at it individually or as a team, you know, you have to be really, really happy that you get another win. I mean, they're hard to get. Played against a team with two really good guards, and I thought that those kids did a fantastic job making things hard on us. They put pressure on us all game long. And to be honest with you, in the first week, as we kind of look at things, if we don't get our defense going in another direction here, we're going to experience some really hard moments in games. We can't get stops. And the free throw line, all you have to do is look at their 32 free throw attempts in the game. And I know that they ended up shooting 41% from the floor, but their two guards ended up going 8 for 14 from 3. And you know, there's just some alarming things out there defensively. And this team has got to grow up a little bit faster on that defensive end. We're going to have it a whole lot tougher. But there were some really good things to take out of it. Some individual guys are getting in there for the first time. Jerome and Race were great in terms of just getting in there early in the season and impacting the game. Race 10 and 9, and I thought Jerome hit some really big shots in the first half to give us some confidence. So I was happy for those guys in particular. Not that I'm not happy for everybody, but for this team, we're 2-0, and we have some time here to regroup, and hopefully we can start to make some steps defensively to start to look the part that we're going to have to.
That was Coach Archie Miller, Indiana head coach of basketball. Now we're joined by Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier. Michael, how are you, man?
Doing great, Jim. How are you?
Good. You heard Archie there talking about a couple different things. The two biggest things to me was alarming things out there defensively. Talked about if they don't get things in order quickly, that they're going to be in some problems coming up soon, which I think a lot of people saw that with the ease at which Portland State was able to hit shots. And, again, you see Indiana not hitting shots. So that's the bad part that we can talk about. Portland State definitely exposed some things with Indiana.
Yeah, and you don't want to be saying that a team that's ranked in the Ken Palm around number 270 exposed much of anything when you're talking about Indiana, but you're right. I mean, there was just moments in that game where you're scratching your head, and you want to believe that maybe Portland State's better than those kind of rankings show, but you know that really shouldn't even be part of the thought process or conversation. I mean, it's obviously early in the season here, but Indiana, you know, just as Archie said, on the defensive end, I mean, they just seem slow on closeouts. They're not really aggressive. I mean, part of it, I'm sure, is that kind of the head of the monster, Rob Pennessy's still rusty. I think what did he say after the game, that Pennessy's only been practicing about 1/10 as much as everybody else has. And so when you're playing the pack line and depending so much on the ball defense, and the guy that really leads the charge there is still, rusty, still getting himself back into playing shape. I'm sure that's part of it. And, the other part is Indiana, if you remember back to last year, they didn't really start peaking on defense until February, when they started to work their way out of that funk. And so I don't know if this is just going to be another one of those situations where it just takes a while, but I can imagine that it's going to be a very big point of emphasis just based on the comments that Archie had after the game and that you just replayed.
Well, and if so it does just take a while, that's a scary thing, because taking a while, as we've seen, does not lead to good results at the end of the season. And so that there's great cause of concern for them, whether they're going to get heading in the right direction a lot sooner or not, because if they don't, that means another year without making the NCAA tournament, very possibly.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously too early to get ahead of ourselves with any of this stuff, but it, it's clearly the cause of concern right now. I mean, I think another thing that comes to mind for me is that, Indiana's just, they don't have their full complement of guards right now. And a lot of the issues on Saturday was perimeter defense. And, if you're running thin at guard, you're still kind of running guys out there guarding positions they're not accustomed to, like Hunter and Smith come to mind. And so, getting Devontae Green back and really, having the full complement there at guard, even though it'll still only be 4 guys that can play from a scholarship perspective at guard, that will have to help. But, I think it's completely understandable at this point why Archie's frustrated. You don't want to give up 74 points to a team like Portland State. You don't want to have a couple guys like that go 8 for 14 from long range. Two really solid players. I was impressed with those guys, but not the type of situation you want to see with a team of that caliber.
And then, of course, look at the stats. Shooting-wise, again, after having a couple of decent shooting nights from behind three-point line early, the exhibition game and their first game against Western Illinois, only shooting 10 shots, not a very good shooting night behind the three-point line, with a 3 of 12, I think.
3 of 14, I believe, and two of the 3 was Jerome Hunter, who up to this point you couldn't count on. So, I mean, 21%. Good news, bad news there, I guess, but
that's 21%. 21%.
Yeah, it's definitely that was definitely a reversion to old form. I mean, it's just one game. You don't want to get too bent out of shape about it. I mean, clearly, what we talked about going into this season is playing out. This is a team that's going to play inside out. They, if you want to talk positives from the game, they dominated inside. Whether you want to talk about points in the paint, offensive rebounds, second chance points, all those measures, they dominated. I would be scared to think what a team like last year's Indiana club, who really didn't have size down low, how they would have come out in a game like this, where an opposition's really lighting you up from outside and you don't have the ability to dominate in the paint. That could have been a really interesting game. So, I think at least here in the early going, when the opposition isn't as tough, I think Indiana's going to be able to rely on their big guys to pull them through while they work out the kinks on the defense.
Couple of bright spots. You got to start with Al Durham. Another game back to back now. He had 18 points in this game, 7 of 11 shooting. He was 3 of 3 at the free throw line. He was 1 of 4 behind the 3-point line, so he didn't shoot the ball as well from deep. But overall, you can get 18 points from Al Durham every game, man. You're going to be a happy camper. And then, but the biggest surprise to me, and the person who had, I don't want to say the biggest impact, but it was the most welcome thing to be seen, was Race Thompson. 10 points, 3 of 4 shooting, 4 of 4 at the free throw line in 16 minutes of play, and 9 rebounds. The dude almost had a double-double.
In 16 minutes, right? That's the amazing thing, is the production that he was able to get in such a limited role. I mean, somebody could do the quick per 40 math on his numbers, but it's amazing what he did in such a limited amount of time. And he's done it before. I mean, going all the way back to the Minnesota game last year, which I think was his first game of the entire season, or first game after 3 months after a concussion, he did something similar. He had 6 rebounds in 10 or 12 minutes. So you talk about a guy just kind of having a nose for the ball and being in the right spot. Sometimes it sounds cliche, but he certainly seems to fit that bill, and seems like he's going to start, working his way into cutting some minutes away from people. I mean, you look at the limited role that a guy like Jerron Davis had. Some of that's opposition. You're playing against a team that doesn't have bigs. It's natural that you can only give so many minutes to Davis and Brunk and Jackson Davis, but at the same time, if you got a guy that's just going to come in and produce, it's going to be hard to keep Thompson on the bench.
Trace Jackson Davis, the freshman, with another really nice game. He did get a double-double, 13 points, 10 boards, 5 of 9 shooting, only 3 of 6 at the free throw line. That's something that's got to be cleaned up. But that's his second game, and he gets a double-double. That's good to see.
Yeah, you wonder sometimes, how's a recruit going to translate to the college game? Is he really worthy of his ranking? I mean, just from a pure athletic perspective, you can just see what makes him different out there. He's what stands out to me more than anything with him is his spring off of. He's very quick jumping. He'll miss a shot and he'll be the first one back to get the tip in. He's almost like a pogo stick the way he jumps. And I think that stands out. His perimeter defense stands out to me a lot as well. He's you talk about playing the pack line. You need bigs that can get out there and hedge. That's the way Archie Miller likes to run the defense. And he's very quick at not just getting out and hedging, but actually forcing the dribbler to kind of retreat a little bit, which is the goal with those hedges, and recovering back to his man. He does all that really well for a freshman. Part of it's his athleticism, but part of it is he seems to understand what's going on from that perspective. So, I think the developmental side for him is going to be, developing more of a perimeter game offensively. I think nobody really expected that of him, early on in his career, and that'll be something to watch to really see if he can take the next level.
Back in action tomorrow night against North Alabama at 7 o'clock at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Another game, basically a practice game for Indiana to work some of these things out. What do they need to see tomorrow night against North Alabama?
I mean, obviously the defense has to improve. We talked about that. I think the 3-point shooting, I think what's interesting about the 3-point shooting is that they're not shooting 25 shots a game, and they're probably not going to. I think if this is going to be another team that doesn't shoot a high percentage, if they're only shooting 10, 12, 14 shots a game, it's not going to be quite as concerning as it was last year. Obviously your best 3-point shooter's been sitting on the bench, so the numbers are going to be a little bit twisted from that perspective. But, you just really want to see them from an offensive perspective just pound the ball in the paint, to submission against teams like this. What was disappointing on Saturday watching the film was that, that Portland State team was switching everything, and Indiana ended up with a lot of situations where they had their bigs on guards and they didn't really take advantage of that. So, really focusing on pounding the ball inside and looking to dominate people inside out offensively. And then just defense, I think you just got to look for, guys like Fennessy to keep recovering from whatever injury he had and really start to lead the charge to make this more of a impactful defense.
How about the women's basketball team, ranked 24th in the country? Another big fat win yesterday. They just destroyed Nicholls State. That score at one point was 62-17 when I stopped by. It was crazy. And then they get led in scoring by a freshman that I was not even had seen her barely see her name so far this year. And then bam, she's the leading scorer of the game yesterday.
Yeah, they're winning these games like the way you would want the men's team to. I mean, they're playing similar opposition right now, and these throwaway games, if you want to call them that. But they're winning them like a team that's worthy of a top 25 ranking. That's a team that's living up to some early preseason hype. I'm really excited to watch their season unfold. I think, if people aren't paying attention, they should be. The coaches in the Big Ten voted them as the number 3 team, which for Indiana women's basketball is a huge deal. It's a huge statement. It's a major step forward for the program. They've never been thought of in that upper tier of teams. And so, the early returns are that they're going to live up to that.
Well, and there's no doubt this is going to be a season of insurmountable pressure on Archie Miller. Right now, you have the football team ranked in the top 25, the women's basketball team ranked in the top 25, the soccer team ranked in the top 10. Men's basketball, your bell cow, nowhere to be seen, and I'm not sure that they get ranked this year.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Let's say they go 7-0 here through November, which, if they don't, there's going to be some upset people because of the nature of the schedule. So if Indiana is 7-0, they're going into a Big Ten ACC game against Florida State. Do they sneak into the top 25? I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Sometimes it's just pure attrition that other teams fall out. Kind of like what happened here with Indiana football. So they might sneak in, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're worthy of that until they start playing some people and start knocking people out. So I think the bigger prize and the bigger question is going to be, can they work their way back into the NCAA tournament? And so you talk about the first 7 games, maybe they get some undeserved national attention, but it's the last 24 all against Power 5 conference or high major opponents that's really going to tell the tale of this team. And you just got to think if they can get Green back and start playing some defense, that, they've got 11 actual players that look like they're legitimately can be on the court in the Big Ten and can at least provide this team some depth and some size that they maybe haven't had here recently.
Yeah, we'll certainly find out. They get the opportunity of plenty of games coming up. North Alabama tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. They play Troy this Saturday. That time should be soon set, if that's not already. Because
I think it's 8 o'clock.
It is an 8 o'clock game?
Yep.
Indiana playing on the road in football. Indiana football on the road at Penn State. So you don't have to worry about missing either one of those. But you're not going to be able to go to both, unfortunately. But I was hoping to be done. So we got a lot coming up, man. A lot going on in Indiana's team as they move on forward. We'll see how things look through these next couple of pre-conference games, I guess I'll call them, because they're almost preseason type games, but they're real. These are real games, so we need to come up with a good word for these less than stellar opponents. The early season games. How about that? It sounds like a nice name for it.
Yeah, whatever you want to call them, Indiana needs to show better than they have. Being up only 5 in the second half against Portland State is not a good image that you want to be portraying right now. So long way to go. So whatever you want to call them, take them more serious. How about that?
The one thing that I was impressed with was the fact that Portland State played such an up-tempo, in-your-face defensive style. Indiana only had 10 turnovers. That was a big surprise to me because that's an area that Indiana had great difficulty in last year at times. And to do that against a team whose sole purpose is to create turnovers. Their previous game, they caused 31 turnovers. So that's a bright spot for the Hoosiers there. They're taking care of the ball.
It absolutely was. 10 turnovers against that type of team was good. I guess the converse side of that is that I think it caused Indiana to go too far to the extreme of being careful. They didn't really push the pace and, force themselves into a lot of half-court offense, which I don't think Archie wants this team to be in the half-court very much for the reasons we've talked about. They're not a good shooting team, and so the more transition offense that they can get, the better. But I think that, again, goes to, having guards that are rusty and, not accustomed to playing a lot of minutes and playing a lot of pace right now.
Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier. That's where you can find him. Appreciate you, Mike.
All right, Jim. Have a great week, man.
You as well. Hey, we got a lot more coming up. Nick Baumgart's going to join me next. We're going to talk a little more IU basketball. We'll talk a little Dawson Garcia. right when we come back. Right here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, back with more after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Rob's a guy who's apparently kind of been in and out. He's kind of had something physically going on through the preseason. But I think to 7 points, 7 assists this afternoon seemed to get into a little bit of kind of a personal battle with one of his defensive covers. Just how important is, I guess, he for this team in terms of maybe setting the attitude, not just the tempo that you guys want to play at, but maybe sort of some of the attitude you guys want to have on the court?
He's really important. I mean, you see what happened once he got on the defender and he got stopped. He brought energy to us. He lifted us up. He lifted the arena up, and I feel like with Rob playing the way he is, and he's going to only get better. It's just the sky's the limit for him.
Jeff.
Trace, just give us your thoughts. Kind of what led to your first double-double, and then how well do you feel you played today, your second customer?
I think just in practice, just my teammates always pushing me to rebound. We do a lot of rebounding drills, so I thought that was big coming into the game. And then just taking advantage of opportunities from the point guards and wings, passing me the ball and getting me in position to score.
How, in particular, it seemed like them offensively, they were able to hit a bunch of threes. I mean, was it just rotations you guys weren't quite getting right, or what made it difficult to defend the perimeter there?
We got to be better in all aspects. So I feel like we got to be better on the ball, be better and help, and we got to be tight, and we got to be able to close out and be able to guard. So I feel like we just got a couple things to work on, fine tune, and practice, and we're gonna hit those marks tomorrow.
There's some player sound for you after the game, most recently against Portland State. Joined now by our good friend Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com. Nicholas, how are you?
Better than I deserve, brother.
I hear that, man. Indiana with the 2-0 record now, as they, after beating Western Illinois and Portland State. Portland State came in with a very pressure-packed type style of play. It exposed a few things for Indiana. Indiana withstood it. The three-point shooting, I was talking earlier with Mike Schumann, the three-point shooting wasn't very good. But one of the things that did surprise me was with that style of play, Indiana really failed a lot of the times last year taking care of the ball. They only had 10 turnovers in that game. To me, that's a big improvement for them.
Yeah, I thought the pressure. I thought it was surprising when I saw it. I said, "What in the world is Portland State doing?" I don't think that it really hurt Portland State. Like I kind of expected it to hurt Portland State. So it works today. But if are you gonna let Minnesota press you or Purdue or something? I don't know. They kind of looked like they were content just to kind of get into the half court, and it worked. The offense was great, and they only, like you said, they only had 10 turnovers. I'm kind of from the school of thought that I don't think that, because you play fast, that you should expect there to be more turnovers. Don't turn the ball over. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting. They played 35 possessions in the first half. And they only played 33 in the second. So, it was pretty slow tempo, really.
Yeah, Indiana now moved on another game tomorrow night, North Alabama at 7 o'clock at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall, as they count these games down before Florida State pays a visit. That's a point where they've got to get to, because that's going to be a stern test for the Hoosiers coming in. A lot of talk over the weekend. I know Dawson Garcia was visiting Marquette. Everyone wanting to know what's going on with Dawson Garcia. Of course, in the interview that I saw that he did with that edits guy, that they want to get they want to get Archie in front of him one more time. Obviously, they want Indiana to get that last word before he makes that decision before the 20th. Sometimes by the 20th. So I'm sure that they're working diligently to get that done. Have you heard anything about how his visit went, or anything new with the Dawson Garcia saga?
Very disappointing. I'm going to disappoint a lot of people. No, I haven't. It's a quiet recruitment. Some recruitments are very out there, and which I was kind of surprised that he did that tipped and edits. Not that he said a whole lot or gave away much, really. But no, it's quiet. It's dark. And there's no contact right now. There's contacts. The dead period has started, and so that will run and through the 14th, which is Thursday, I believe. So, the next opportunity that Archie, if he hasn't, I don't know that he hasn't. I can't say that he hasn't gone. He could have went Friday morning. He could have went last night. But now if he hasn't gone, the next opportunity will be Thursday. And, you just got to hope. Who knows? Who knows where Indiana stands at? It's obviously good selling to be the last guy in front of someone. So, we'll see. He could announce on Wednesday. He could announce today or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm sorry to disappoint people, but it's been a very, very quiet recruitment.
We're used to that, Nick.
Yeah.
We're used to you disappointing, man. Come on.
We got the B team in this morning. Fish got laryngitis, so that's what you get.
Fish has got the laryngitis. That's from what was the Johnny Cash movie? When she said, "I've got the laryngitis."
The new one, the one they just made.
No, it's been
a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's been a few years. All right, so Indiana now moving forward. The defense did not look as stellar as it could have looked the other night, and that was the point that Archie talked about in the post game, that he had great concerns, as a matter of fact, with where they are defensively right now.
Completely overblown. It's November. It was November 9th. Okay, first of all. So we got to set a little context here in the fact that, when I looked up when when Indiana was great, right? The last time Indiana was great. They didn't start until November 29th. These are still very early, even though practice starts a little earlier, these are still very early days. Guys are getting back into the grind of practice, and you're getting hurt, you're getting dinged up, you're pulling muscles, and, so all that's expected. The defense, though, I get it. You look at the score, and, Indiana gave up 74 points. But if you take away Holland Woods' barrage, okay, and this is the barrage I'm talking about happened halfway through the second half, and in 5 possessions, he hit 4 threes. And he got loose in the corner, hit a 3. Offensive rebound, found him off the offensive rebound, he hit a 3. So now he was feeling pretty good, and then he hit 2 more threes. So he scored 12 points in 5 possessions. And then they hit a buzzer beater at the end. They were up 18 with 59 seconds to go. So I know it doesn't work like that, but if you take away those 15 points, they held them to 59. And while there are concerns, they got sliced up off dribble penetration, and they were a little soft inside. This is
against a team.
Most people aren't talking about that.
Nick, this is a team that's over 250 in the KenPom numbers, though. This is one of the worst rated teams in the country doing this.
Dude, the 15 points that they gave up, okay, that influences their KenPom. I mean, that's my point. My point is, they're giving up less than a 1 point per possession. So, I love the KenPom stuff, but he can stick it. I don't think his thing is overblown.
Are you talking about Ken Pomeroy can stick it?
Yeah, he can stick it.
Oh, man.
We got to get it going on a Monday, Jim.
I'm telling you, man, not a lot going on. Just coming off a weekend. How about the women's basketball team, man? Another big win. They beat Nicholls State, which is nobody, of course, but they beat them like you're supposed to beat them. Like a drum. It was up 62-17 at one point. I think 111 to whatever they scored. I don't remember the final score. It was a lot. Well, 5, 6, 7 players in double figures. They got a pretty good squad.
Yeah. Well, I've watched the men play that game 3 times, and I've got my criticisms. But let's keep it in perspective here, And look, Archie was saying what he thought everybody wanted him to say. If he comes out and says, I'm not that concerned. We're going to get better. It's November 9th, people. Have a little perspective. Well, then all of a sudden now everybody, Archie doesn't care about the defense. He doesn't think that, he thinks everything's just fine. So he was pandering to the crowd, and I get it. You do that. It's a little bit of a PR. But I'm telling you, when he goes back and looks at it, it's all overblown. It's not that bad. It's just not. So, it's November 9th. And if November 29th, if things are like this, if December 3rd against Florida State, it's like this, okay. Hanging, crucify, whatever you do to it. But I just find it a little amusing how, everybody just wants to jump off the ledge already.
These are Archie's. Hey, brother, these are Archie's words, not everybody else's. I'm relaying Archie's words.
I'm telling you why he said it. I'm just telling.
Well, he doesn't. You get what I'm saying, right? Well, that's not something he normally does. He normally doesn't say the truth. So why is he saying the truth now all of a sudden? He normally doesn't. So which way is it?
I don't know. Ask me something else. Let's talk about something. I don't know. It's Archie. But what I'm telling you is I don't think that if you don't see what I'm saying at all, you don't think that, I do say pandering a little bit to the crowd like he had to come up with.
Here's the difference between you and me. I do think there's reason to be concerned. I do see that there are potential problems with this team going forward.
What are they?
Well, their lack of shooting, although they don't have Devontae Green right now, you cannot rely on one guy to be your shooter. They still don't have shooters, the consistent shooters. That's a first problem.
Duke did fine last year, and they shot like 30% from three. I don't know.
Duke had 3 top 5 players, dude. Indiana does not have
who
3 top 5.
Who still shot threes at a terrible
rate?
Anyway.
Yeah, but you can get away with that when you rebound like a bad man. Indiana. Okay. That's something that Duke had that Indiana did not have last year.
Don't you think Trace Jackson-Davis and Justin Smith are
dominated in ways? You have to dominate. If you're failing in one area, you have to dominate in another. What area are they going to dominate in?
Well, I don't know. They got to find their identity. It's November 9th. That's what I'm saying.
I'm asking you, what area could they possibly dominate in? It's not going to be shooting, I can tell you that.
Well, just in their half-court offense. I mean, getting the ball inside. They've been over 50 points and points in the paint the last two games. I mean, the shooting is going to be okay. Al Durham's shooting 57% from three.
Dude, he had one good game out of 2. They've had 2 games. You cannot know. What do you mean the shooting is going to be okay? You can't say that. This is a team that has historically shot terribly. So you can't just throw that out there because you want it to be that way. That's fan perspective there. You can't say it's going to be okay just because you want it to be okay. The truth of the matter is it has not been okay historically in the last 2 years. And why is it going to be different all of a sudden now?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't.
You know what?
Maybe they're just going to be awful. Maybe they're going to be terrible. We might as well not even play the season.
Dude, you got to be able to grow a pair and be able to have a conversation, man.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a completely different team. Completely different team. There's nothing from the last 2 years, okay, that's going to be able that you can transfer over. You just can't. Devontae Green shot 41% from 3. Durham's shooting 57% right now. Tennessee is going to be a good 3-point shooter. He was a 36% shooter in high school. I think everybody likes to make things a bigger deal than they are.
How about making them what they actually are?
Okay.
I think I make things what they actually are. I look at things in reality of what the reality of situations are.
Well, the reality is it's November 9th. We don't know much about this team. That's my thing. December 3rd, January 3rd.
Let me ask you this. Who have they added to make this team a better shooter team than they have been? Have they added someone I'm not aware of?
That's a flawed argument. That's a flawed argument. So nobody improved on their 3-point shooting over?
I don't know. Have they?
Well, I don't know. Al Durham was shooting, what I got him at, 40-something% on February 19th last year. So he for, 2/3 of the season, he shot over 40%. Devontae Green shot 41%. I don't know. I just want to see things on the court play out before we just hang people out,
Well, nobody. Who's hanging anybody? Who's hanging anybody?
You.
No, it's called a discussion. It's asking questions and looking for answers that you're not giving other than saying, I don't know.
My original.
You can't say, I don't know. That's not an answer. That's what I do. Ask questions, man. That's what I'm here for. Ask questions to stir the pot.
Okay, and I'm here to answer them. And I'm doing them the best I can on November 9th, Jim. I don't have a whole lot. That's how I feel. And, you can call me a fanboy all you want. That's so far from the truth.
Who said
really
that?
What I feel.
Who said that?
You did.
Run the tape back.
Call me some kind of fan or something. You should call it.
Run the tape back.
Fan thing.
Run the tape back. Wasn't said.
Okay. You owe me a Coke or some popcorn or something.
Popcorn. I'm gonna dump a bag of fucking popcorn.
Look, this is just my stance. It's on everything right now, because I know I hear it from.
You're my only fun argument we have all week.
I get that,
and I want a fun argument. It's the only time I get to argue all week long is you, and we got it's. Well,
I know.
Fun.
Are we on the air? Because I really think this is just a conversation we're having. Are we on the air?
Yes.
Okay. No, I'm with you. No, I
think I waste my time talking to you if we weren't on the air?
I really do believe it. I see where you're coming from. I'm a person that sees all sides of the situation. Okay, they didn't add a whole lot of shooting. They added Armand Franklin. But I'm confident enough in these guys that we have around. Jerome Hunter, he hit 2 big threes the other night. So sometimes it's just situational shooting. We haven't got to see that yet. Sometimes, just a guy being able to hit 2 big shots there that gets you out to 10 at half.
Nothing can be judged after 2 games. There's no doubt about that. It's going to take a good bulk of maybe the entire month of December before we know what this team is really going to be like, to be honest with you. You've got to see them against Florida State, a team that we know is a quality team, and then a couple teams after. They got to play, Notre Dame this year. We got to see them against some upper-level teams before we truly know what they're going to be like and let them get their sea legs. And I get that. So, but that's
that Florida State. I watched them play Florida yesterday, and they're going to cause us all kinds of problems. I mean, they're long and they play that zone, and they're just relentless. So, you're going to need to be able to shoot. But I like the fact that the approach has been inside out so far, and it's worked. I mean, the worst thing that could have happened is to have this defense or whatever defense we have, right? Whatever shooting problems we have, and then the offense would be terrible. But so far, the kids can only play the kids that are scheduled to play them. They don't do any scheduling. So far, Indiana's taking care of their business offensively. Shooting it all.
We'll see what they can do tomorrow night against North Alabama as they're back at it 7 o'clock at Simon Scott Assembly Hall.
Yep.
We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this. Stay tuned. You'll stick around. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moyer.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. 944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Monday, November 11th. I drew all over my page, man. I marked out the date. I can't even see it anymore.
Hey,
Mike
happy
Schumann was on with us earlier.
Veterans Day.
Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com. We were having some fun earlier.
Happy Veterans Day to everybody out there.
Yes, thank you for reminding me of that. Thank you for reminding me of that. Absolutely. Yep. Thank you to our veterans. Thank you to all of you that serve, that protect the country, that have protected the country, that are protecting the country. Thank you. Absolutely. And thank you, Nick, for reminding me of that.
Yeah, big thanks, guys. I really do appreciate you.
One of the best things that came out of that game Saturday was the performance of Race Thompson. Man, it is unbelievable to see him have a game like that. The dude almost had a double-double. He was just a yeoman in there working, doing the things that this team needs from him. That was beautiful. His performance was nothing short of beautiful.
Offensively, it was nothing short of beautiful. Yeah, no, he's got so much skill, and you see why he ended up, getting the minutes over Deron Davis. He's just in a little better shape, and he's just super talented. Now, defensively, I had a little, Wait, Nick, I thought you said everything was overblown, but defensively, he stuck out. He got abused a little bit inside by some guys who I didn't really expect him to. They were more athletic and so we'll see. We'll see how, I think he's going to get a lot better pretty quick. But, that's not going to work against like Trevion Williams or, Caleb Wesson or some of these other post players in the Big Ten.
I saw Romeo back from the G League after Gordon Hayward was injured.
Yeah, his length is just it's causes problems. He went down to the G League and had 27 and 6 blocks or something ridiculous. So I think it was an injury thing anyway. They wanted to get some time and get him some reps, and the kid is just, I think he's gonna be fine. He's super talented. He's got all the physical tools that anybody could ever want going into the NBA as a 2-guard. We saw what he did as far as the scoring goes. So, I'm glad to see him get his legs back under him, get a little momentum going.
Indiana, as they move forward, what do you want to see from this team as they inch toward that game with Florida State? They've got like 4 or 5 games in before that game comes to be.
When you watch this team play like on offense, it's so slow, like in the half court. I was watching Purdue the other night and play Texas. They got beat. And, Purdue was just moving the ball right now. It just kind of pops in the half court. So, I would like to see, a little more. I thought the energy level was down a little bit from where it was the first night. I don't know if you agree or not, but it just kind of seemed, so just a consistent effort, just coming out every day, getting better. And improving, taking steps forward. I think if there's anything that you can kind of complain about the Archie Miller era is we haven't seen that team just completely get better, from beginning to the end. And so, it's a big stretch here. It's tough because you don't really have any tests before you get the final. I mean, it's not the final, but
that is the
it's
test.
really good.
That's the early season test.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, you don't have anything even really remotely difficult here. In the first 7 games, it's going to be pretty light. So
okay, so why schedule like that?
I don't know. That was the question I asked at Big Ten Media Day, kind of, and Archie didn't give a whole lot of insight into that. So I don't know. It's like unlike any schedule I've ever seen, really. I've never seen that. So, there's no true road game until you go to Wisconsin, and you haven't won in Wisconsin since January of '98. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, maybe it works out. Maybe they're just humming and clicking by December. When I went back and looked at that schedule, when Indiana started back on November 29th, that was their first game. Their second game was December 2nd, and that was against a really good Notre Dame team. So, maybe in some ways it's kind of like just having 7 exhibition games. That's one way you could look at it. So, but like I said, I've got no real context here, no perspective on. I've never seen this before. So I don't know. I'm watching with my popcorn too.
Well, we'll see as they go forward, but this team has got to show improvement each game. This can't be like it takes 7, 8 games to see any improvement. They need to improve every game. They don't have the depth of talent to where they can afford not to be improving every game. Everything needs to continue to improve what they're doing. Their offense has to get better, and their defense has to get better. It's simple. I mean, they have to improve every game.
And, tempo is something that's going to be interesting. So we've watched them win, right? This last game, pretty slow tempo. Now you're going to have to go to Wisconsin, at Wisconsin, and beat Wisconsin. Are you going to play their game? Right? Are you comfortable, playing slow like that? Well, so we got to figure that out, and, so I think that's kind of what I'm looking for. Obviously the defense, they're on the ball, defensive pressure needs to be better. And, shooting and turnovers is always the story here with this team. I said I don't know if the shooting's going to, I said the shooting's going to be okay earlier. I'm as curious as anybody. I'm as anxious as anyone. I'm just tending to try to see, have a little positive perspective here early.
You try to tell people what they want to hear.
Right.
That's okay. That's what everybody else does. I tell them the truth. So I let everybody else tell them what they want to hear, which is good. And I can be the bad guy. I'll wear the black hat.
Love you, Jimmy.
I'll wear the black hat. I'll be the bad guy.
I love you, Jimmy.
I know. I'm the
you
bad
still owe
guy.
me a Coke, though.
As we move forward now, have you followed the football program at all?
Yeah, man. First time in the top 25 since '94.
That's
that
amazing.
Right?
Yeah, they're rolling, man. They got a big game this Saturday though. That's going to be you talk about a test. That's another Indiana, and this is something I said earlier. I don't know if I said this on the air or not, but I think I did. The next step for this team is they got to beat somebody. They're having a great season. They're doing things they haven't done in a generation. They haven't been ranked in a generation. And truth be told, they shouldn't have lost to Michigan State, and they would be 8-1, and they'd be in the top 15 right now. Probably, maybe their highest ranking since the 60s. But that didn't happen, so it doesn't matter. But they have to beat somebody next. I mean, we watched Illinois beat Wisconsin this year. We watched Illinois come back and beat Michigan State on the road this past weekend. They've got to knock off somebody they're not supposed to beat. They've had some nice wins on the road at Nebraska, but these are on the road at Maryland. But those are all below mid-level teams right now. The next step for this team is they've got to beat somebody they're not supposed to beat.
Yeah, I think I saw a stat that their record against teams, wins against teams, there's like 17-49 that their wins Their opponents' records are like 17-49. So yeah, I mean, I think that, certainly. Are you going out there
to Penn State?
Are you going out? Yeah.
I have not decided yet because we have a basketball game at night.
Right.
We do the post-game show with Todd Leary. So, man, I'm like, golly. Can't make
Need to get you a jet.
Yeah.
Somebody out there, let's get him a jet.
If you'll fly your private jet up here, pick me up, take me on over to Happy Valley. We'll go to the game. You can go with me, and then we'll come back for the basketball game, and I'll do the post-game show.
That's a pretty good deal. If you had a plane and you wanted to go watch that football game, that's a pretty good deal.
If you have a plane, you don't have problems seeing football games. I assure you.
That's true. You don't think there's any conservative penny pinching
plane owners?
Yeah, probably right.
I'm sure there are, but no, they don't.
I wouldn't know.
No doubt, man. Nick Baumgart joining us here on the program. It's been, as usual, our fun time. It's our fun. We had to move it up from Tuesday to Monday. Don Fisher was sick today, so we appreciate Nick joining us here on Veterans Day. And again, thank you to all the veterans. We cannot thank them enough. Thank you for your
allows us two jabronis here to argue around about basketball. I love you guys.
Could not do this if it weren't for those guys. Thank you. Thank you for everybody. Thank you for the families of the veterans who sacrifice more than most, more than any of us. Thank you so much to the children. Oh my God, man. So salute all of them, the wives, the husbands, the children, the sons, the daughters. Thank you so much. We do seriously greatly appreciate what you guys do, because we couldn't be goofy like we are. We couldn't do anything without that. Seriously. That's the truth. That's the truth, man.
Yep. No, I appreciate you having me on. It was a little bit of a Tuesday's leadoff, man. It's tough. It's big shoes to fill up here.
You got moved up in the leadoff spot and having trouble adjusting?
A little bit.
Oh,
man. To settle back in my 2-hole. Like to settle back in my 2-hole there. And
Don Fisher will be back with us tomorrow. Yeah, Don Fisher will be back on tomorrow this week, and then next week we're back to Mondays. But, we're going to swap Nick and Don Fisher tomorrow. So thanks a lot to Nick for filling in for the Fish today. We greatly appreciate that as well, man. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, brother. See you guys.
Thank you, sir. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for us, I believe, today, right, Jake? Yeah, got nothing more. We've got to get out to the press conference for the Football Weekly press conference. Get out there and take care of all that. Lots of stuff going on. Indiana soccer, men's soccer is in the midst of the Big Ten tournament. They won the first game at home yesterday. They now move on to Maryland. The tournament's being held at Maryland this year, so they'll be moving on to Maryland. And then they'll come back. They'll have at least one more home game when the NCAA tournament starts play. They should be able to host a single game there, so we'll look forward to that. The women's team, I don't have their schedule in front of me, but I'll have that tomorrow. We'll talk about that. But the men's basketball program, obviously, on the hardwood tomorrow night against North Alabama. We'll have Don Fisher on tomorrow, as well as Chronic Hoosier. It's a Chronic Tuesday, so we get to do a little pregame talk with both those guys tomorrow. Looking forward to it. But and don't get upset. Nick's okay. We have fun. That's what we do. He's the only one we're able to do that with. And it's so fun. We laugh about it. And I wish you could hear the outtakes that go on in the breaks. It's just as comical actually more comical than what happens on the air. But we appreciate everybody. Thanks a lot to Jake. For everybody else, until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.